So welcome everyone. I'm very happy to be here with all of you and being the facilitator and co-creator of tonight's webinar with my beloved sister Mila Liana and Yael Delikman. And we're very actually honored to hosting today's webinar, Women Tapestry of Life, for the Ego to Eco Global Forum of the Presencing Institute. Because this event will be recorded, we ask everyone to stay muted, please. The grandmother will talk for about 1.5 hours, and then we'll have about half an hour of Q&A. And any question you might have, please put it in the chat. And the grandmother will try to answer everyone, or at least make everyone happy with some answers. So Women Tapestry of Life, it's a new co-creation, and it's a weaving of open hearts and conversation with Indigenous Grandmother Elders from around the world. We feel that it's now very much the time of the women to empower themselves in their full feminine. And grandmothers are the embodiment of the women's true power, of the feminine powers. And that's why we have asked them to be here with us today, to talk to us, to share with us the journey, to share with us their ancestors' wisdom, to share with us the stories, but most of all, to share with us their beautiful hearts. Because their beautiful hearts make them invincible. And I've seen grandmother doing miracles with just their beautiful hearts. And that is a learning. When in your heart, you can do anything. So we're very honored to have here our gorgeous 6th grandmother from around the world. We have Grandmother Mona, who is Hopi Havasupai Tewa. And among the many organizations, she's also the president and founding members of the International Council of the 13 Indigenous Grandmothers, and the president and CEO of the Turtle Island Project. Then we have Grandmother Renee, who is Mohawk Nation from the Turtle Clan of the Six Nations of the Grand River Territory in Ontario. Then we have Grandmother Tehaina from Outer Hawaii, who is a Maori, Nkati Kahungunu, which means iwi, which means tribe from Outer Hawaii. And he also is the creator of the Kuhawaka Retreat Center. Then we have Kumu Seba, and Kumu means teacher, educator in Hawaiian, who has dedicated her life to preserving and teaching the Hawaiians' traditions, art, and ways. She's also the founding member and past president of Napali Coast Ohana. And we have Grandmother Margaret Auma Osado, who is from the Luo tribe in Kenya. She's the founder of the Spring Ministries and AIDS Ministry and head of an orphanage in Kisumu, Kenya. And then we have Grandmother Susan Kayulani Stanton, who is Mohawk and Native Hawaiian, and is the founder and senior grandmother of the Grandmother Circle. Thank you, grandmother, for being with us here today, and thank you everyone else for being with us here today in this beautiful circle. And now I ask Grandmother Mona to please start with an opening ceremony. Thank you. Grandmother Mona, you have to unmute yourself. Thank you, Grandmother.
First of all, I'd just like to greet each and every one of you. Kamil, Lolama. I'm grateful for this day and grateful to join in this wonderful circle of grandmothers from all over the world. And just like to take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Mona Palaka. My Havasupai name is Hanpa which is a white eagle woman. And I come from the, on my mother's side, the Havasupai people, the people of the blue water that live down at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. And I'm from the Water Clan. And then on my father's side, I come from the, my maternal grandmother is from the Hopi people, the people of peace. And my paternal grandpa is from the Tewa people, both Pueblo nations. And then I'm also, my clan on that side is, I come from the Sun Clan on my grandma's side, and Tobacco on my paternal grandpa's side. And so I'm really grateful to them. I'd like to take time to acknowledge all of the ancestors of our nations that we represent, and the ancestors of the lands where we are at this time. And then also give thanks too for each and every one of the grandmothers and their life experience that they're sharing today with those who are joining us. And I'd like to acknowledge each and every one of us that way here. So I'm going to go ahead and say a word of prayer here, and you can go ahead and join me and pray along with me, whatever your prayer is. It would be good if we put our prayers together in this good way, coming from all around the world here, leaving this sacred connection together. So, Hompa Kiva, Muslim Hopa Chach, Katika Akik. Once again, I call upon you, give thanks to you here for this wonderful day, this beautiful time here that you brought us together here. Give thanks to you again for all of your divine creations, the water, the air, the fire, the earth, all these things that give us our life, the plant life, the water life, the four-legged, the winged, the birds, the winged life that fly in the air, and then all of the other little creatures that are part of your great creation. Giving thanks to you again for all of our sacred sites, our home places that we come from, our places of origin that our ancestors first made their presence here on this Mother Earth. And from them we have come this far. We have been the generations that they prayed for, that they lived in such a way to be able to create this path of life for us. And they took care of all the things that were important in order for us to survive in this world, to be able to have a good, safe drinking water, to be able to have good, clean air that we breathe. And then to also to have our sacred fires that we use in our prayers as well as in our everyday life. And our sacred Mother Earth, they showed us where we had a home place. We had a place that we were given, where the good Creator put us and told us that's our home, that's our place. And then we were given instructions on how to live, how to take care of it, how to meet our basic survival needs. And so we as Indigenous people, we've been carrying it on all the way up to now. And so here again, I pray that you could bless us here, each and every one of us, representing our nations, representing our homes, our families, our children and grandchildren, and the future generations that are yet to come. You might bless them here for us too. Here again, for all the people that are making some effort to call upon you at this time in their greatest moment of joy and their greatest moment of need. You might recognize each and every one of us, our voices, the things that we're going to share, that we're going to offer to the ones that have joined us here. Maybe some way, somehow, you might touch us, each one of us, our minds, hearts, bodies, and spirits, so that we might be able to come together in good relations. We might be able to come together in a good mind, good heart, good spirit, so that the things that we're going to hear, that we're going to see, that we're going to think about, that we're going to feel as us grandmothers, we share these words of wisdom, of encouragement with each other as well as those that have joined us. Through that, why maybe there might be a good blessing that might come from it. So each one of us, we might be become stronger, be able to walk this road of life that you've given to us in a real good way, just the way that you intended us to be. And with that in mind, I want to ask you for forgiveness for anything that I might have done or said that's contrary to your ways, so that I might be worthy of these things that I pray to you about here at this time. If there's anything that I left out here, Creator, Bakuva, Mustamho, so you could take care of those things for me. All the prayers that each one of us, Terry, have said this new day here, you might bless it for us here again. And then too, all of those that are less fortunate than us, the ones that are in need, the ones that are suffering here at this time with this sickness, you might look down upon them and bless them. And the ones that are in mourning, that have loved ones that have gone back home to you, you might comfort them here at this time and give us all the strength, the courage, the will, the understanding that we need to continue on in our everyday life, so that we might be able to provide a good life here for our children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and the future generations that are yet to come. These things I have on my mind and in my heart here at this time to say to you here, and say this to you for all my relations. Esculi, 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 esculi. I'd just like to offer a few words here and give thanks again for the organizers, and grateful that the grandmothers are able to connect with the world. And I look at it as it's like a spirit net that we've connected in this way. It's like the tapestry of life that each one of us carry a strand of it, and through that strand, while we're making the sacred connection with one another, so that we're able to make a way and to carry on the teachings that have been given to us, a sacred responsibility as women, as grandmothers, that we've been charged with. This time of during this time, I like what my brother Larry mentioned, was that this is the time of the women, and I was part of a ceremony in 2012, what was called Day One, the beginning of the new calendar. I was told that that calendar that completed was the solar calendar, and that it was the time for the masculine. And when it turned over in 2012, it turned into the lunar calendar, the time of the feminine. And at that time, the Mayan elder grandfather, he passed the fire stick over to an abuela, a grandmother, Mayan grandmother, and she took care of the fire. And so the fires are now in their care, in the women's care. And they said that we as grandmothers, or we as women, it's our time. It's our time to step forward and stand in our goodness, and with the compassion that we've been blessed with as women, and to be able to speak up and to have a voice for the voiceless, have a voice for life here on Mother Earth. As life givers, we understand about that sacred blessing and gift of bringing life into the world, to carry a child within us, and then to come to that time when this life comes into this world, this little child. And so this I see as this little gathering here, I see as part of that. And again, it's only one thread of this sacred tapestry of life. It's a sacred thread that each one of us, we bring to it. And so we're very, very fortunate, I believe, to be able to come together and to share with one another. And also, sometimes people get a little, have feelings or maybe conflict about sharing the sacred messages, sharing the sacred knowledge. But the way I was told was that it's in the sharing that we continue to have it. And we share within our own family circles, within our own community circles, but then also, again, it's important to share outside of our immediate circles to expand in our the communities or the towns or the cities we live in, but then also expand throughout our own homelands, our countries, and then to expand to the whole world, which is what we're doing now. We have come to that place where we're sharing this with the whole world. And so I see this as a very, very opportunity, very big opportunity for us to reach out and touch, touch the lives of others who may be seeking guidance, who may be looking around and seeing chaos in the world and feeling like, what does anyone have to do? What do we do? And they're looking for a way to connect with others that can see a way of maintaining balance while the whole world is shaking. As well as also we need to be able to take care of the sacred sites, the places that our ancestors recognized and as being holy and being a place to where there's special energy, healing energy, where there's special energy, where there are spirits that we recognize. And the same thing with the waters, the sacred waters, to take care of them and recognize them as sacred. And Indigenous people have been making great efforts to protect the waters of the world, especially the waters, the sacred waters of our homelands, our territories. And many of our people now are faced with water shortages, and yet those waters, what little water we have, is being threatened by industry and economic development. And we go and we say, this water is sacred. It gives life. We must protect it. We must make sure it stays clean, not only for us as human beings, but for all of the life forms that depend on it. And we say that, and yet we're looked at, and they look at us and they don't understand. They say, what do they mean? How can they call that sacred? It's just water. Well, this concept of sacred water is not new. All over the world, there's different places. And I've been to some of these sacred waters, places that they call holy water. The holy river, Jordan. The holy river, Ganges. The holy river, the holy lakes and streams throughout the world that are called that. They're recognized as being holy and sacred. And that's the same thing we're doing. We're saying that about our waters, our rivers, our lakes, our streams, our aquifers, all of those things. I was told when I was a young girl, when I first heard from a Hopi elder, he said, know where your water is. Know where your clean water is, and pay attention to what is happening to it. You must take care of it. It takes care of you. It's your life. And so these are some of the I believe they're global concerns, not just the indigenous people, but all people, all women. We are the ones who carry life in our bodies. We ourselves, we lived inside of water in our mother's womb. We call it the first foundation of life. Before we came into the world, that water we lived in, it came out of our mother's body and we followed it. And so we call that the first foundation of life. That's how sacred it is. And so my call out to you is to pay attention to your water. What's happening to it? We as children, we probably all went to we went to a body of water. And when we arrived there, we saw this beautiful, beautiful water. Maybe there was a waterfall there. Maybe it was a little stream and it's flowing, making sounds. And maybe there's a little fish in there. There's all kinds of little plants around it. And you see it and you feel this joy, this great, wonderful feeling to be approaching it, to come to it, and then to go into it. Or to take water from a spring and fill your water jug and to take it with you. And the feeling you have when you use it, when you drink it, how it feels, how it refreshes you, how it opens up your mind, and it seems like everything in your body awakens through the refreshing blessing of the water. Every morning when we wake up, the first thing we do is go to the water. We go to the water, we drink some water perhaps, we make our coffee with water, we go ahead and take a shower, bathe with the water. We use that water. The first thing when we rise, most people, at least the ones who have access to it. But then there are many, many, many of our indigenous people who do not have access to safe and clean drinking water. And that's our call. That's our call out. To make sure that our children and our grandchildren and our future generations that are yet to come, the ones we won't see, that they have that wonderful, beautiful, the sacred element of water. So those are some of the things I wanted to share with you. And it's also a good time, this time, to also acknowledge all of our spiritual leaders all over the world that are saying prayers, that are doing ceremonies throughout the world. Our indigenous people are doing their ceremonies. And we believe that it's through those ceremonies, which are part of our original instructions about how to live and take care of our mother, the earth, through those ceremonies, that we continue to exist and uphold the original instructions that were given to us when we first emerged into this world. And so it's good to take time to, when you're outside, if you have water, make an offering of water to Mother Earth. Maybe there's a little tree, little bush, something, plant. Make an offering of water to it. And thank it. Give thanks. Have a sense of gratitude. Have an attitude of gratitude as you go through your day. And whenever you think about doing it, do it. There's not really any real specific time that you should do it. Make an offering. Offer some water to the earth wherever you're at, giving thanks that way. Giving back, that reciprocity that we need to practice, not only with each other, but to all of these divine creations that give us life. And so these are the words I wanted to share with you, and I give thanks to each and every one of you for hearing, listening, and hopefully you'll be able to have some thoughts and be able to have some feelings about the things that each of us grandmothers are going to share with you today. I say this for all my relations, Escoli.
And thank you very much, Grandmother Mona, for your beautiful words, wisdom, and teaching about the sacred side and the sacred water. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It's been very profound, and it will stay with all of us for our life. Thank you. And it's really, we always take water for granted, and we shouldn't. Thank you for reminding us of how sacred it is. Thank you. And I also would like to invite everyone I can see everyone is already sharing where they are from, because once we know where you're from, we also feel the energies of your land, and we feel your ancestors with us. And it's very nice to be all in circle together. And now I ask Grandmother Renee, please. I give her the talking stick, and she will tell us. Grandmother Renee. Her protocols and her practices. And I've already been in few webinars with Grandmother Renee. Here we are. Thank you, Grandmother Renee. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Nyawa, miigwech. I want to say hello to the four corners of the world. It was predicted that we would one day, the grandmothers would have their voice heard all over the world and in the homes of all the people. And I come from the land of the people of the Longhouse. And the peacemaker came to remind us, because you see, what have we done? We have forgotten our original instructions. Look at what is happening to us. Look at the sadness and the grief. Everyone is lost their spirit because this time of isolation came. But it's a gift. It's a gift to remember of being a human being again. Because we got lost in a world of chaos. We were rushing about, and we forgot how to be a human being. We forgot how to be parents because we were always away from our children. We forgot how to be partners because we were always on a phone making calls. We have forgotten how to say hello to a stranger on the street. We forgot how to accept everyone. We forgot how precious each and every one was. And so in a sense, the peacemaker came again to remind us on how to be a human being, not a robot, to think logic. How many do that? Use logic. You see, that's one of our original instructions, is to use logic. Logic. Is this truth? That's what we're supposed to say in ourselves, not to accept false. But we have been groomed because we were in a rush. Oh, that'll happen tomorrow, that. We always put it off. We are to remember our original instruction and take each day as a gift. To take each drink of water as a gift. To take each moment of our foods as a gift. We have forgotten. We have forgotten how to conduct ourselves. We've forgotten to say thank you. Listen to our children. And it's sad because our children have control over the way of life. I want, and I want. We are to teach our children how to go without so that they can be ready. We are to teach our children how to be kind. We are to teach our children how to forgive. Because it was told to us that a day is going to come when the children will do the killing. Isn't that sad? We have forgotten our instructions. We've forgotten how to be proud of our bodies. Whatever body we have. We were proud to be a different. Because that's what the Creator made us. Each one of us is to be different appearance. Different in height, different in size. We're not all supposed to be. I'm trying to think of that doll everyone had. And we have forgotten how to start our day off. We're grumbling and we're complaining. We've forgotten how to take care of ourselves. And we always think someone else can take care of us. We have forgotten so much. You have inside you the ability to enhance, to heal. But we now look outside of our bodies for healing. We forgot this mind, that it can control all our parts of our body to make us unhealthy. What do they call it? We have a lot of health problems. We have forgotten how to follow our original instructions. And so I bring you a symbol. I can use, this is our weaving of our belts. This is a story that we can use this in many ways. You'll notice in the center, there's a dark heart and there's a white heart. This is of peace. To me, I am reminded when I see people that are hurting, I am reminded that they have lost their instructions. They have lost how to love themselves. We're always looking for someone else to love ourselves. We're always wanting validation from everyone else. When the Creator gave us this amazing gift, it's called our hearts. It's called our spirit. It's called our mind. When they all work together, then our bodies will be well. We have lost our instructions on how to be happy. We've lost our instructions how to play. We've lost so much. It's time that we get it back. in this time that we have, people have looked at it as chaos. To us, as Indigenous people, we always knew we had to be in a time without. We call it fasting. And every one of us needs to fast. We need to go without. Because what are we doing to our bodies? What are we doing to our minds? What are we doing to our children? We need to teach them how to go without. I had to laugh when I went back to school to start up my grandma's lodge. And the amazing thing I found out was who has the buying power that doesn't have any money? It's the children. Isn't that amazing? Those children will say, that's a car I want, Mom. That's a house I want. That's this, that. This is what I want. We forgot how to teach them how to earn those things, because then they will appreciate them. How many mothers are cooking separate meals because their child doesn't want to eat with what everybody else is eating? We've forgotten how to put our children on that path of, soon as they can pick up a broom, soon as they start comping us, they're supposed to be doing their responsibility, and that is what people call today as chores. We've taken that away from them. How are we getting them ready to function when we're no longer here? We need to remember our original instructions. All of us have it. We can't blame nobody, because the Creator made each one of us, and He put in us the understanding of truth. He gave us the understanding of logic. We have been controlled by fear, and this is what we need to remember again. Man creates fear. Our higher power creates understanding. Watch nature. And so we have come to this place of loss, our original instructions. We forgot how our hands are our message to our children. This is what I teach my children. This hand that is connected to my heart, my left side, it is to remind me everything I do is for P-E-A-C-E. This right hand, S-H-A-R-E. Share peace. Not take. What we are to do is remember that all of us have been given the same instructions. We are people of many colors, red, yellow, black, and white. We cannot do anything without this thumb, and that is the one we call our higher power. So however we have called our higher power, the red, there are many different languages. The yellow, the white, and the black, there are many different languages. But however we refer to our higher power is, look at this, is okay. There should be no wars, there should be no fights, because all of us have come here to the earth, because we're spiritual beings. We came from the sky world. We came here to walk in that good way. This is why we were given a heart. This is why we were given a mind to think logic, to have a good mind. This is why we were given ears to listen. Sada Hunsada, pick up your ears and listen. We were only given one mouth because it gets us in too much trouble. And so you see, everything of our body tells us is our instruction on how to be well. The reason we have sickness is because we're not living truth. We're not listening to our bodies. My grandma would say, the Creator looked after us. He didn't want us getting in trouble, so He put a crap detector in us. So all of you know when you're doing crap, You don't need to have to be told. You know that, she said. Why do you think you look over your shoulder to see if anybody's looking when you've done something wrong? Always remember that. The grandmas, they're amazing. And my grandma, oh, both my grandmas. I was so blessed to be the oldest in my family, so I got to spend lots of time and hear their stories. They groomed me for what I to do today, because I am the oldest of 12. And I had got together with my sisters just recently. I have 7 sisters and I have 4 brothers. And so, in a sense, I am reminding them, because a lot of them never got a chance to hear Grandma speak. But the only way I can share that with them is how I conduct myself, how I carry myself. And so that's the only way I can do that. I can't tell them this is the way. I can only show them. And so I have been blessed to have had many grandmas. Because when my grandma left, in our way, the animals have taught us to adopt. Go and find a grandma that can fill that void. If your mother has gone on, go and find a mother that can, go choose a mother that can talk that good language to you. Go and find a father that can be that role model for you. We've forgotten our instructions. So we can't be blaming anybody, because the Creator gave us so many people, so many. The reason I'm called grandmother is I was given that name by young people. They asked, because I worked at a treatment center, and they asked if they could call me grandma. Kukum, Dora, Aksuta. I said, oh, I'd be honored to carry that name. They said, I wish I had a grandma like you. I said, inside you is that grandma. Even if you never got to meet your grandma, she's still inside you, because you got that blood memory. You got that blood memory of all these things that you need to know, your original instructions. You know that we're not to be causing war. You know that we're not nobody's supposed to be up here and everybody's supposed to be poor. We are all supposed to be walking like this together. And so I give you the language of the grandmothers. Waralungwa. This love that I have inside me, I wrap around each and every one of you to hold you up and to brush you off so that you can hear and you can see and that you can know your original instructions. Remember, it is of love, because that's what you were born of. You came from the sky world with love to help the people here on earth. You came with love to support all those that are less fortunate than others. And so this is why I can use this, so that anytime someone needs a support, you can lift them up. That's what this hand is for, to lift someone up. This is what this mouth is used for, to lift their spirits up. And so I send my heart. It is to all of you. I am not afraid to share my heart, because the Creator's got a bigger heart, and He can always replace what is taken out of mine and given to someone else. It's always coming back. And so remember, the most international language is that smile. Give someone a smile. That's why we were given this. I got dimples to prove it. So what you do is you smile, because you may give that person the light that they need to help them through their day, that you show them that you care. You don't even have to speak, because your smile, they can feel it. They can feel that light. They can feel that energy. So I hope I have not abused my time and taken some of other people. I only wish to share what I was taught, and that is weaving our hearts together so that we can become strong and hold each other up. So I say to all of you, remember your instruction. Remember how to be a good human being. You are to be different. You are to have peace. You are to go without. We are also to have pain, because that is the greatest teacher. Because if we have pain, then we know we don't want anyone else to have that pain. So we'll be there to help them. So remember, peace. Remember this hand to share. Oh, take care.
And thank you very much, Grandmother Renee, for sharing your heart and being so brave in your life, and for reminding us how important is self-caring, and to remember our own original instruction that we all have. We just forgot. Thank you. And I just want to remind everyone to please let us know in the chat where they're coming from, and also to please start writing their questions, because after all the grandmother will have spoken, we have the time to answer your questions. So if you can start writing them, we'll be grateful. And lastly, if you want to know when the recording of this beautiful webinar will be on YouTube, you can send us your email privately in the chat, and we'll make sure they will send you the link. Thank you very much. And then now I'm very pleased to pass the talking stick to Grandmother Tehaina from Aotearoa. Thank you very much. Grandmother Tehaina? Yes, she's coming.
Awe. Hoki wairua mai e kui mai koroma ki a mātanga ha kui o te ao whanui e. Kia hono hono tahi tātou I raro I te koro ai o matua kore o whai a riko riko e. Kia hoki te oranga pai o te ao ki te ao whanui e. Hoki wairua mai rā. Tēnā koutou e te iwi e. Greetings to you all. E ngā hākui o te ao whānui, nei rā taku mihi aroha ki a koutou. Ki a koe Paolo, nei rā te mihi nui ki a koe, ki a koutou ngā kai whakarite o tēnei hui zui. Oe. Ko te raina Atareta Ferris, tōku ingoa. My name is Te Raina. I'm married to a Ferris man. I'm born a Shasha. My maiden name is Italian, but my grandmother who married the Italian was a Māori from Aotearoa. I live in New Zealand, which is at the bottom of the world. My closest neighbour is the South Pole, and it's rather chilly right down here right now. I bring greetings from the southern winds and the southern poles to all of you beautiful people up north in summertime. It is winter time here. And right now I have a group of 15 beautiful young Māori women under my care who are all at the beach, and they're all greeting the rising of Matariki, which is the constellation of the Pleiades. So for us Māori in Aotearoa, it's New Year. It's Happy New Year, everybody. We celebrate the New Year in the middle of the year. So the wahine, the ladies are down the beach doing their karanga. They're calling up Matariki to bring us a new year full of abundance. And the constellation is sparkling. So that's a sign that there's a good year ahead. And we have bountiful times ahead of us. And that's a lovely way to be thinking right now as our global family is in a pandemic, chaotic situation. So it's about having faith and belief that all will come right. And kua tae te wā o te hākui. So the time is now for the grandmothers to rise up. And I know that prophecy is worldwide. And Mona, Whaia Renee, Grandmother Renee, I loved your kōrero, your presentation. Because everything you spoke about, it was like it was coming from my lips as well. Your description of children of today is a description of children of today right here in New Zealand. Isn't that? Well, it's not amazing because that's how energies work, eh? What the energy of the moment is a global energy. So, yes, us grandmothers have a lot of reclaiming to do. So us Māori people, I'm the youngest of 9. I have 5 older sisters and 3 older brothers. And just this year we lost our first brother, and we are the oldest family in our lineage. So we carry a lot of responsibility, and I'm the baby of that family. But it almost feels like I'm the oldest because of the work that I do. So, ka tuku mihi ki a koe e te rangatira, ki a koutou katoa. I o koutou manawa nui ki te hāpai tia te oranga o te ao whānui. So I send you all greetings to all the leaders, all the grandmothers, grandfathers, all the people trying to create a better world. Greetings to you all for going there, for weaving that tapestry of woman, but it's like that punga were were behind you, Paolo, that spider web that sits behind our co-creator of this beautiful program. That is exactly what's happening right now. We are creating a web of consciousness. We're weaving it all together. We're like the spider in the middle, and we all have our turn to weave the web. And it's not a new web. This web has been woven, it's been destroyed, it's been rewoven, it's been destroyed, it's been rewoven. And now in this chaotic time, we're reweaving this web via technology. I remember when the 13 Indigenous grandmothers came down here to Aotearoa, which was in about 2012 or 13. What a massive effort that took to bring all of those beautiful grandmothers to little old New Zealand down the bottom of the planet. Whereas now we can weave this web by sitting in our warm homes and doing it through the web of Whaia Riko, who is the counterpart in our cultural view of the creator. So the creator in our view comes in a masculine form. So part of my work in restoring the feminine energy begins right there with the creator. Who is the creator's feminine counterpart? And for us as Māori, it's Whaia Riko, but she's invisible. She's the invisible weaver. All the mana is given to a masculine power. So you're right. It is time to reweave this tapestry with the woman's energy equal to the men. not above, not below, but equal. And that's the kind of work that I do. But it's a big job, because we've been governed by such a strong patriarchal power for too long. Okay, so how do we do this? How do we do this? So we do this by having beautiful webinars like this, Paolo, and giving us a chance to share our cultural ways of being, our cultural stories, to share what we're doing in our little parts of the world. So I'm just watching all of the chat messages coming up. So we've got wahine, we've got women and men on here from all around the world. That's amazing. That's really quite phenomenal. So we're weaving this global tapestry, and it's needed. So we're fortunate down here, us Māori people. The Māori people are one of the youngest nations on the planet. And we live in a little country. We're not in a huge country like you beautiful sisters of Turtle Island. We're in a small country, and we're tribal. So that means we can live separate in our tribal families, but as a nation we are one, and we are Māori, and we are proud to be the tangata whenua of Aotearoa. So currently we are in a reclamation time, as many Indigenous peoples are around the world, and have been for probably hundreds of years. But we're kind of in a new energy right now, in that we're trying to form a political Māori party that never got through in the last elections for whatever reasons. And the work that I do is helping our Māori wahine, our Māori women, find their true voice through karanga. And karanga is a voice that resides in our wombs, not in our hearts, not in our heads, but in our wombs. So I just want to greet that beautiful man that spoke to us before we became live, and liken the energy of the woman to the core of the earth, that we hold a similar energy to the core of this earth in our womb space. And that is so true. And karanga is an opportunity for us as Māori to access that my mouth is wanting to say power, but it's not. It's a sanctity. It's a sacredness that resides in our wombs, our whare tangata. And another word for a womb is kura waka. So my work here is all done under the name of kura waka, which is to help our Māori women in particular, but all women have this I'll say power, because it is powerful. It can turn a pot of whales. It can open the skies and turn a blue sky into a storm sky. So it has the ability of the core of the earth to make change. But we've lost touch with it, because we're so busy working from our upper energies that we've forgotten that what resides deep within us holds our grace and holds our sacredness, but we've forgotten that. And and that was the role of the grandmother, was to teach that. Well, the grandmother's role has changed. Grandmother is either at home bringing up the kids, or she's at work making money to pay the bills. So the role of the grandmother has shifted over several generations. But the key to our survival is with the grandmother and the grandfather, but it's time for the grandmother right now. So I beseech everybody to honour your grandmothers, and grandmothers to honour ourselves. I'm a grandmother of 17 beautiful grandchildren. I have 6 great-grandchildren. And just last week, I tried to have one of them for the night, who came and spent a night with me, and she absolutely exhausted me. I had to give her back. I had to take her back. I could not keep up because she was wanting this, wanting that, dropping it here, dropping it there, pooing her pants and doing all of it. Oh, gosh. And I felt guilty for a moment in saying, look, I need to bring baby back, but I had to self-care because I have another responsibility to care for these groups of ladies who come to my care. So yeah. And being the youngest, I kept waiting for the grandmother to swoop me up and to teach me. But she never came. I was married at 18. I'd had 4 children by the time I was 25. And next minute, I'm the grandmother. So I honour all grandmothers out there and encourage you to honour your grandmothers and to allow them to be grandmothers and to allow them to create their own stories if we haven't learned the stories. I'm fortunate that I married a man who grew up with grandmothers, and those grandmothers told him the stories. So in a way, we balance each other out in that he tells me stories. But I've had to learn the stories and find the stories. And now it's my journey to teach the stories. The stories are important. Everybody has a story, and every story has many lessons in it, comes with many values. And if we don't know the stories, we can't learn the lessons. So the thing that underpins the work that I do is retelling our Māori female atua stories. So we have our own Māori world view from how we believe Māori became a race on this planet. Only because we were colonised, we did not grow up with that Māori story, with our Māori world view. We grew up with the colonisers' view of the creation. And our Māori world view of the creation got put to bed. Along with it, all the female stories of the godly worlds of where we came from. So the fundamental thread through what I do is to bring those stories back, because they have powerful, very important messages that are relevant to us today as women in 2020, as they were way back then, whenever they began. So, yeah, take the time to sit with grandmother, ask her questions, listen. I love grandmother Renee. Listen. Be silent. Listen. And then take the time to think through what you've heard and to pass it on. It's no use having all this knowledge if you don't pass it on. I hear people say, oh, knowledge is power. I go, well, no. Knowledge shared is power. If you don't share the knowledge, it's like being Scrooge McDuck. You got all this money, and you got all this money, and you lock it away in a bank, and then you die, and it's good for nothing. So knowledge shared is power. Anyway, there's a zillion things we could talk about. And I've got some notes here, but I think I think the woman's tapestry of life, that's a very fitting wording for what we're doing now. And looking at the screen with that spider web behind you says it all. And for us, that's a tuku. And in the middle is the matriarch. Yep, is the matriarch, and the matriarch is the weaver of the tuku. And the tuku is that tuku is so strong, it can hold the world together if we but weave as one. Nō reira wahine mā.
Thank you, Grandmother Haina. Your words are so inspiring, and thank you for reminding us of the sacredness of our wombs.
Yes.
And
yes.
To really cherish and treasure our grandmothers, because we never do that enough. Thank you for your beautiful, empowering words for all of us. We're very grateful of your presence. I know that you have to wake up very early this morning, night probably, it's Saturday for you, to be with us. Thank you.
You're welcome. Ngā mihi nui kia koutou katoa.
And now I would like to invite Kumu Saber to please share with us and talk to us today. Thank you, Kumu Saber.
Aloha mai kako. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, thank you.
I'd like to open with a chant that speaks of the fragrance of the wind when the mist comes up into the forest and blesses our mountains. O nau nai tahala me tale hua, he halile hua no ia nata no e. O tauno ia e ia no inei, e ali ane ho io ka hiki mai. A hiti mai no tau, a hiti puno me te aloha. Aloha e, aloha e, aloha e. And I mahalo all of you for being online here today. My goodness, I'm amazed because you're from all over the world, and this is just amazing to me. So first of all, just a little introduction. My name is Sabra Kauka. Sabra me is a combination of Sarah and brother. My mother was a very creative lady, and my father's nickname was brother. As so many Hawaiian men call each other brother this, brother that, or for short they say bra or blah. And Sabra is a combination then. But I know with Yale and my friends from Israel, Sabra is a native-born Israeli. But I have not had the honor or the chance to visit Israel yet. It's on my list. I hope to do that someday, to see that beautiful area of the world. And I also send aloha out to all of the people. My goodness, there are 70 people on this Zoom now, and you are from all over the world, from Belgium and Toronto and Richmond and Munich, South Africa, Ireland, Yellowknife, Cusco. Aloha to Cusco. My group of friends did visit some of your sacred sites there in Peru several years ago. From Los Angeles, from the Anishinaabe from Canada to Istanbul, Turkey, my goodness. Greetings to those relatives from Portugal, from Yellowknife, from Germany. As a child, I lived in Germany right after World War II in Bremerhaven, and I have fond memories of our life there. And you know, on social media, I am in touch with the granddaughter of a woman who took care of us children and helped my mother with the house. And from Seattle, New York, and all over the world, greetings, aloha to each and every one of you. So Mona, Renee, all of these wonderful grandmothers ahead of me have touched on some very, very important topics. Aloha, for instance, in our language is love, and it means to share gratitude. You know, in this time of COVID, it's been very difficult for many of my friends here on the island of Kauai. We have less than 75,000 people who actually live on this island, but we have many, many visitors every year. And the economy is unfortunate. Well, you know, it's just very dependent on dollars that come in from outside the community. But when I first came home over 30 years ago to Kauai, so I'm on the island of Kauai, which is in the northernmost island, inhabited island in the Hawaiian archipelago. All right. You know already that we are the most distant landmass in the world, separated or connected by ocean. And my distant relatives there in Aotearoa, aloha to you. I admire you. I admire your prime minister. I admire the clarity and the safety with which your country responded to COVID, because you are one of the safest nations in the world at this time. My little island of Kauai is also quite safe because we have been isolated, and our mayor has been very firm, like your prime minister, in assuring the safety of our community, which means that anyone coming in to our island has, whether they're a returning resident or whether they're a visitor, they have to go into isolation for 14 days. We are very soon, at the end of this month, going to reopen, and the leaders are discussing now how to do that and still maintain safety for our community, for our kupuna, for our elders, for our makua, our adults, and especially for our keiki, for our children. So all over the world, these are things that we are looking at. So I mahalo Paula and Milo and Yale and Ilarian for bringing us all together in this kind of format. It is amazing to me because 2 months ago, I've never really heard of Zoom, yeah? Didn't know much. And like so many of you, I had to ask my high school students, how do you do this? Please tell me what button to push, or my own grandchildren. And so my little 6th grade, 10, 11 years old grandson, he will come here and show me what button to push. And I said, please slow down, do it one more time, because I have to write it down, yeah, before I can do it. Now I can do it fairly well. So many of the things that Mona, Renee, and all the rest of you have touched on already. Several discussions about water, about Vai, W-A-I. We are so blessed on this island to have a mountain that's just under a mile high, but that mountain called Wai Ali Ali, rippling waters, it's called. Vai meaning waters, Ali Ali meaning rippling. You know, our predominant trade winds come from the northeast, and as they come across the Pacific, they hit that mountain, they rise, and they drop their rain. And sometimes it comes down in torrents, but usually it comes as a mist. And even that mist is a life-giving mist, yeah? So we honor Vai. There are so many discussions about water and water use and how to use it properly and not to overuse, you know? So it's very sacred. It's very much at the top of our agenda here on the island of Kauai. And also, I don't know how it is in your communities, but because of our economic downturn here on our island, there has been much discussion about how to return our economy to a thriving economy that's based not so much on tourism, but on culture, creativity, communication. There are other ways. When I first came home, some 32, 33 years ago, from Alaska, actually, I was living in Alaska for many years. It's a beautiful state. Um, I still have many friends there. But when I first came home, the kupuna, the elders told me, up until World War II, our islands were self-supporting. We had all the food we needed. We grew all the food we needed. We caught all the fish we needed. We had all the meat that we needed from the pigs and the cows and the deer that exist here on our island that were brought here. So there's much discussion, there's much activity today in returning to some of the older customs of providing our own food for our own people. And I am thrilled to see so many young people actually becoming farmers in this day and age. You know, they are delivering meals to elders and to those in need all around the island. It is so funny because you go to the store and all of their fertilizer and topsoil and those things that come in bags are pretty sold out. And yet we do have farmers who make compost. Those of you my age will remember making compost, yes, with all of your green waste. And I still do that today. So I'm speaking to you from my school. It's a small private school called Island School. It's about 44 years old. And when it was established, it was, you know, in the 60s, 70s, you had these people called the flower children. And so these friends of mine, they're now flower grandmothers. And they wanted a school where children would have more arts, culture, music, dance, Hawaiian studies. And so they established this school. And during this time of COVID down, there are no summer classes here. So this is the first time in all these years that I've been teaching at this school. And a friend reminded me that I've been here since 1995, which makes 25 years of teaching at this school. This is the first summer that I've ever been able to totally clean and clear and organize my classroom because nobody is using it for the summer. And I am finding treasures. I am finding things that people have given me that I had tucked away, maybe used 1 or 2 times, and then someone else put a box on it, and then I couldn't, you know, I forgot about it. Collections you wouldn't believe. I do not have to collect one more seashell in all my remaining days because I have boxes and boxes and boxes of them to share with my students. And we use those seashells for scrapers when we make the kapa, the bark cloth. I cannot give my little children, kindergarten through 2nd, 3rd grade, knives, but I can give them seashells. And those seashells can be as sharp as a knife. So I am so delighted to be here with all of you. I wanted to also reach out to my friends there in Alaska, and any of you, if any of you are connected with the Cook Inlet Regional Corporation, a group of friends and I will be sending you a letter about some of our seabirds that are nesting now on land that is now owned by Cook Inlet Regional Corporation. Unfortunately, they have built a wall that prohibits the shearwaters or the a'o from making their nest there. And the wall traps them, and then wild cats come in to attack them. So we are going to be, this is the first time any of this has gone out public. We're going to reach out to Cook Inlet and ask them as Native people to please reconsider their architectural plan for this land that they recently came into, and to please understand the importance of the a'o, the shearwater, to our culture, and as Native people to honor that. The shearwater, the a'o, was the bird, one of the birds, including the frigate bird, that led the first canoes to these islands over 1,000, maybe 15, 18, 1900 years ago. And it is my understanding that my Maori cousins first came up with us in canoes, but at some point in the centuries, probably about 500, 600 AD, that they decided to turn around and go to Aotearoa. And these stories are fascinating, absolutely beautiful and fascinating. And I'm sure our kupuna, our elder, our grandmother from Aotearoa can share this story more accurately than I can. So wishing you all peace and gratitude and aloha. I am honored to be here with all of you today. I thank our organizers for calling us together and wish you all aloha. Back to you, Paula.
Aloha, and thank you very much, Kumuseba, also reminding us how much we need to take care of all beings, including the birds, that corporations don't understand what they're doing. They're just looking and increasing their bank account. And thank you for reminding us of also our ancestors, how important they are. Thank you. And now I'm going to ask Grandmother Margaret to come and speak to us. And actually, I'm going to ask all of you to unmute yourself for very few minutes, because today is a very special day. It's Grandmother Margaret's 60th birthday. And in her tradition, it's when she becomes a true elder. For me, she was a grandmother even before today. But today it's an extremely special day, and I'm truly, truly grateful to her to have found the time to celebrate it with us. So can I ask all of you to please unmute? I'm going to unmute you all. I have that power. So I'm unmuting you all, and I want to hear from all of you a big happy birthday to Grandmother Margaret. Yes, I know you can do it. You're
Happy
powerful.
birthday.
Happy birthday, Grandmother Margaret.
Happy
Happy
birthday.
Love, truth, and all.
Birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy
The Margaret.
Feliz
Happy
aniversario.
birthday, grandmother. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Beautiful. Just beautiful.
Thank you very much, everyone. It was a moving moment. I also got a couple of tears out of my eyes. Thank you. And now, Grandmother Margaret, if you want to unmute yourself so we can listen to your beautiful voice and words, please.
Paula, can we ask everyone to mute, please? Ones that are not speaking.
Yeah.
I greet you all. Such a privilege to be here. Can I speak now?
Yes, yes, Grandmother Margaret, it's
Hello?
you speaking.
Yeah, it is at night here. It is 10, almost 10:30. You're hearing me? Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you. I know the connection is not very good there, but we can hear you and we can see a bit of you.
Let me try. Okay, my name is Margaret Auma. I'm from Kenya. a town called the shores of Lake Victoria, the biggest freshwater lake in Africa.
Grandmother Margaret,
Kisumu
we hear
is
you
the
very badly.
largest
Can I
city
ask you a
in
favor?
Kenya,
I'm going to stop your video.
and
So I
I'm
people
privileged to
don't
have
see
been
you, we
born
can
there.
hear you.
Hi.
Yes, it says that there is very low connection. Hello? I think we're losing her. Oh, I'm sorry. Grandmother Margaret, she's somewhere in Kenya and there is very low connection on her side, unfortunately. Let's see if she comes back. Can I then ask Grandmother Susan, please, to share with us? And then Grandmother Susan has also disappeared. What's going on with my grandmothers? I need to talk to you girls.
She's there. Grandmother Margaret is there.
She's back. Oh, Grandmother Margaret is back.
Oh, good.
Grandmother Margaret, you need to unmute yourself, please. Thank you. And maybe you can take
Okay, I've done it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Grandmother Margaret.
I don't know why it is not very clear, but anyway, I'll try.
Now I think it's
okay. As I said, hello.
Yes, it is better. You can speak.
I'm called Margaret Auma. I'm from Kenya, Kisumu, the third largest city in Kenya, and we are based at the shore of Lake Victoria, the freshwater lake, the biggest freshwater lake in Africa. I'm a Luo by tribe, and I'm so privileged to be here on my 60th birthday. It's quite a privilege. I'm very excited to join the elders now. Okay, I've not been married and I'm not married, so it means I don't have a child of my own, but I've been taking care of people's children. So I am a grandmother in disguise. But I'm working with so many grandmothers because I'm working with widows and orphans. And you know, many widows are grandmothers. After the pandemic of HIV/AIDS in Kenya, many sons and daughters died, leaving the children with their grandmothers. And I've been working with widows for the past 25 years. And so I have a heart of a grandmother because it's where my heart has been. And because I have handled orphans at our orphan for over 20 years, I have been a mother and I have been a grandmother. So I'm going to talk from the perspective of what I know, but not what I know practically, but what I know because of my work and because of the community that I come from. Luo people are communal society. We belong to each other. Every female is either a mother or an auntie or a grandmother. You know, grandmother is step 3. You are a sister, you become a mother, then you become a grandmother. So we are a communal community. And in our culture's Luos, women are treated as community asset, which means if you are married in the Luo community, when your husband dies, you still remain in that community because you belong to them. And if your husband dies when still very young, they can decide to get you a husband in quotes, somebody to either they say remarriage, but it is not really a remarriage. It's kind of they inherit you. And sometimes they do it forcefully, because most of the times you are given somebody that you really don't love. They just want to retain you there, so they have to just give you any man to make you stick around. So many widows go through a lot of trauma, a lot of humiliation, a lot of stigmatization because of the culture that our people have. Then when the young widows die, they leave the older widows who are now the grandmothers with all their children. So in every grandmother's home, you find all children. So they kind of have little orphanages within their homes. Because when the daughters die wherever they went to get married to, then the sons die with their wives, the children of the daughters will come back to their grandmother here. The children of the sons will come back to their grandmother here. So you find a grandmother can have as many as over 10 grandchildren in the family. And with all the difficulties we have in our society, poverty, lack of shelter, lack of water, our grandmothers are having very rough time. But in the midst of that, one thing that makes me strong to go on is the smile they put on. In the midst of all those difficulties, a grandmother will still smile. And most of the times I say grandmothers are recycled parents, recycled. These are people who had forgotten about giving birth, they had forgotten about labor wards. Then all of a sudden, death robs them of their children. And they go back into caring of children again. So they are recycled parents. That is how I term them. Or the parents who have gone back to the labor ward twice. So we find the grandmothers in Africa generally are the people who are bearing the greater burden. Because all of you may know how HIV/AIDS dealt with us in Africa. People died, and most of them were young people. And sometimes we live in denial. We don't want to talk about AIDS. We think somebody has bewitched you. So we may not even go for medication because I just believe I'm bewitched traditionally. And we die. And that belief of we are bewitched continues with us. But we are glad now that the ARVs are here, and most of the orphaned children are on ARVs, and that makes them go on with life for a long time. They find most of the widows now because they have been empowered. We have done a lot of work. I've been working with widows under spirit ministries for about 27 years. Empowering them, organizing conferences, making sure they have a positive attitude towards life, positive beliefs that can make them live long for the sake of their grandchildren. Because when their real children die, where will the children go to? As a worker or a mother, one time we went to bury a mother of an orphan. This orphan asked me, sometimes they call middle-aged women, they call them aunties. Everybody's either an auntie or a grandmother or a mother. Because I said we are all living in a communal life. We are relatives. So we don't just address people with their names. We have to get something we hide behind. So they call me auntie, even if I'm not their relative. So one of them asked me a question. Auntie Margaret, where will you take us after burying our mother? This was the year 2000. And that question just left me helpless. These are young children of 12 years that took care of their mother till death. Now the mother died, and here I am going with the fellow children. Then he asked me this question. That is what made me start the orphanage. That question, Auntie Margaret, where will you take us? I really didn't know I would take them, but the question made me become a mother and a grandmother immediately. And that is the question that many grandmothers hear that makes them take in the children who are orphaned. Many grandmothers that I know of are even grandmothers to children who are not their relatives. Because in Africa, a child just decides to come and live in your house. Whether you are a relative or not, they'll just live and continue living and start calling you mama. They start calling you granny, and they are not your relatives. And because we are used to that, so you find you are raising children who are not even yours. And that is what grandmothers go through here. Then with a lot of scarcity of water in Africa, because we have really destroyed the nature environment, a lot of trees have been cut, change in weather patterns, so we find we don't have water. We have to walk long distances to get water, carrying it on our heads. And it is only the grandmother that can teach the children how to do house chores, how to do what tradition accepts and expects, teaches them what it is, the old tales. It is the grandmothers that are making our children now know what the tradition, the society expects of them, our traditions, what we need to know, how you need to address older people, how you need to organize, set yourself. So the grandmothers in Africa, they have a lot of duties because some of our children are growing up in towns. They really don't know what it was, what our parents went through. So the moment their parents die, it makes them go back to the rural areas, and it is the grandmothers who start teaching them what used to be the traditional rights, what is expected of them. So I can say that the grandmothers in Africa are teachers. They're teaching the young people the traditions, what is the culture. They're the people who make them even know the local language, because every tribe, they have their own language they speak. So it is the grandmothers who teach their grandchildren or to teach the children the local language. So because I've been working with them and seeing how they are raising up the children, and me as I've been also raising up children in the orphanage, it is a task that needs to be boosted. It needs to be encouraged because many grandmothers are traumatized. They have lost their livelihoods, they have lost their children, they are bringing the breed of children, and they are expected to take them to school, pay the school fees, meet their needs, and you find a grandmother is so overwhelmed. And sometimes the children don't go to school, and the government will insist the children must go to school. So the grandmother tries all the best to make sure that the grandchildren go to school. Like now, because of COVID-19 pandemic, our schools in Kenya since March have been closed. And we are told they will be opened in January. So you can imagine all the 10, 16 and above children are back at home with an old grandmother in a small hut, a small shelter, a small house in the village. No enough food. The trauma that the grandmothers go through, and you still see the smile on their faces, amazes me. The strength that grandmothers have. amazes me. And they will not let go. They will not let go. They will make sure whether there's food or not, they will always be there for the children. The strength of grandmothers still amazes me. And I think this is all over. May not only be in Kenya or in Africa, but there is some strength that grandmothers have that I have also inherited now that I'm official elder. So one thing I can let us know as grandmothers, there's some energy, there's some inner strength that we may not know where it comes from, that makes us go on to support the people that are within our jurisdiction, the children that we are left with, the neighbors that come round and patch themselves on us and start calling us mama or start calling us grandmother. We have to be there for them. That energy is all over with grandmothers. I think it is not just only in Kenya or Africa, but I've heard my fellow grandmothers speak. There's something very unique about a grandmother. No wonder they are the people who remain last to take care of the younger children that are coming up. So I would want to, with what I have seen and known, I would like to let the grandmothers know that in whatever place you are, in whatever country you are in, whatever background you may have, the traditions and culture, the strength that grandmother has, I think, is universal. It's something that is from within. And I'm still learning because I'm just joining group. I'm already learning quite a number of things, and I'm willing to learn more. But the bit that I know is what I am sharing today, that there's some strange energy, there's some strange strength that a grandmother has that will make her go on. Whether things are very difficult or what is happening, they will go on. And so many grandmothers have brought up children, successful people in the society. Most of the times you ask them, they'll say, I lived with my grandmother. It is my grandmother who brought me up. It is grandmother who paid my fees. And they can tell you how difficult it was, but they still made it. And so we as grandmothers, we are a very important group of people because we make people make it. We make people make it. We make our grandchildren appreciate us. We make our neighbors' children that are left with us appreciate us, that we gave them a future. We made them to be what they are. So let us continue to make people that we find we can nurture, we can empower, to make it. And I'm so glad about this group of people because we are nurturers. We are people who are feeding others. We are people who are empowering others. And the children we bring up will always look back and say, it was my grandmother. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Grandmother Margaret, for sharing such beautiful wisdom and for reminding us that we need to honor all grandmothers, all of them, and how powerful grandmothers are, and how powerful you are, because your message has gone through my heart and will stay there. And I feel everyone received the same energy from you of a very strong grandmother with a huge heart. So thank you very much. And again, super, super happy birthday. We're going to celebrate another one next year, and we finally share the
Thank you.
and you blow the candle. Thank you very much. And now I ask our beloved grandmother Susan. Now it's the talking stick is all yours. Thank you.
Thank you.
Grandmother Margaret.
Happy birthday, Margaret. Thank you, everyone. Well, as I had said just before we started this broadcast, I am so grateful because I know all the grandmothers. And Kumu was the only one I had not yet met, and now I've had that blessing and that pleasure, and so I'm so thankful for that. And I always ask Paola if I can go last, and there's a reason for that. And I love it that I get to hear Grandmother Raina and Grandmother Renee and everybody else. And I want you to know that as I listen, I get more and more afraid that I'm going to have absolutely nothing to talk about because you guys are all so good. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
But I'm so blessed to be able to be here. So I'd like to begin my little piece, not with a song and not with a chant, but with a couple of stories. So the very first one is very short. I was at the United Nations with some of our grandmothers a few years ago, and we were at a reception for the Commission on the Status of Women, and that's where I know Margaret from, is from the United Nations. And I was in this reception, and this beautiful white-haired man came up to me, and he said to me, "Grandmother, I would like to introduce myself. I too am a grandmother." And I looked at him and I was like, "Oh, you are a grandmother." I said, "Oh my gosh, so's my husband, so's my father." And I started thinking of all the men I know who are grandmothers, truly grandmothers, carrying that beautiful grandmother heart. And I began to really ponder that out. What exactly is the grandmother? So somewhere along in that time frame, I came across a little book, and it's if I'm correct, it's an Anishinaabe story called Two Old Women. And it's a little paperback book, and it's about a tribe who are getting ready to go to their summer hunting grounds, you know, where they fish and hunt and pick their berries and dry all their food so that they can come back to their wintering grounds and have the food they need to get through the winter. Well, as is the case in many tribes, there were two women who were too old actually to be able to make that journey. And for them to have gone with the tribe would have been actually a burden, and it would have slowed everybody down. And so knowing their role now as elderly grandmothers, they knew that it was time for them to remain and let nature take its way with them. So as the tribe went off into the south, one of the grandmothers laid down into a fetal position. And the other one stood over her and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And she said, "Well, I'm going to die." She goes, "No, you're not. We have work to do. Get up." And poked her with her foot. And the other one just kind of rolled over and said, "No, she said, "No, you are getting up right now. We have things to do." So she got up, and they spent the entire summer getting all kinds of things in order. They mended the winter homes. They got, put crops in and little gardens and cultivated them and then harvested them. And so long story short, at the end of this summer, the tribe came straggling back after having had a horrible time in the summer grounds where there was no fish this year and no meat this year and no berries. And here is their beautiful village in perfect shape, far better than they ever left it, with food stock for the winter. And these two old grandmas in great shape because they've been working all summer. And it was like, oh my gosh, that all went into the back of my mind. So now the grandmother can be a grandfather, the grandfather can be a grandmother. We're not allowed to lay down and give up. We got work to do. And so the stories went on and on for me. And so I am a grandmother biologically and have 6 grandchildren, some married in. My grandchildren are of every color. They are African American, they are Samoan, they are Hawaiian, they are Polish. They're all kinds of different things because that's who our family is. And I hope that as I speak now in the next few minutes, that there will be something that I will have to share with someone who will be able to take this into their heart and to realize that I'm holding up the grandmother mirror, because we are all in that role of grandmother. But who are we? Who are we? So my name is Susan Kaiulani Stanton, and I'm born in Hawaii. I'm born in Manoa Valley. My river there was the Manoa Stream. I lived there until I was a teenager, and then we moved to Buffalo, New York. My father was a professor. I was adopted at birth by a beautiful couple who were from the mainland, Pakeha, Caucasian, Haole, however you want to say that. And they adopted me. I was the only little brown girl in my family, and nobody knew where I came from or whose I had been originally. All we knew is that I ended up in their nest, and they did their best for me. I moved to Buffalo, New York in my teenage years in high school. And when I got my driver's license, it was hard transition for me to go from Hawaii, which is so multicultural, to a place where there wasn't a lot of different culture, and I didn't feel that I fit. But I could go across the river to a place called Six Nations, Oswegan Territory. And I would go by myself and always feel right at home. And this is Mohawk territory. It's Oneida, Cayuga. It's the Six Nations of the Iroquois. And I always felt really comfortable there for some reason. Then my life, I grew up, I became a mom. I became a single mom after being a married mom for a little while, and ended up taking a huge leap of courage and faith. And I took my children and moved back to Hawaii. I had no family there. I was able to get a job as a secretary for $5 an hour. I bought a little property, just under 7 acres, up in a valley next to a little stream called Vaiono, which means delicious water. And I lived off the grid with my little kids. I didn't even know there was a grid. All I knew is we didn't have any electricity, and we only had the stream. And at first we didn't even have a vehicle. So we lived way back up in this valley, and I would walk out with my children 2 miles each way to go to school, go to work. And yet it was something that we all felt good about doing. My youngest was 4 and my oldest was 11. And it was a very interesting time, just like now when somebody's knocking on my door and they're not supposed to knock. I hope you don't hear my dogs. Anyway, raising my children in that world without any other family was very interesting, but I began to find other family, and primarily what I found were grandmothers and grandfathers who were Hawaiian. And they were Japanese, and they were all the different cultures, and I began to learn about that. So as my life progressed, and as my family progressed, I began to wonder what this grandmother part was really all about. And I'm so grateful to Margaret, because she put in so much about what the role of the grandmother is. So as time went by, I ended up being in a position where, as I had also mentioned to Mona Palaka earlier, Gail Whitlow and I, Grandmother Gail, had the opportunity to spend the night at Mona Palaka's home in Arizona. And Mona, I always tell everybody, wasn't even there. I hadn't even met her yet, but she gave us her home sight unseen. We were traveling with some elders to a conference. She was in Kansas City. So she's in Kansas City, and we're in her home in Arizona, and suddenly Grandmother's Circle of the Earth is born. And we ended up going to our first gathering in New Mexico, followed by one right after that in Hawaii, followed by one immediately after that in New Zealand, and then going all over the world. So all of a sudden, I found myself being a grandmother. And I actually had no idea what that was about. So it was like being in Hawaii when I was a little girl, and my mother kept giving me hula lessons, and I kept feeling like it was, not my role to be a hula girl because I'm not a Hawaiian. And how can I be a grandmother now? Because I don't understand what this grandmother part is all about. And I know this might sound a little confusing, but I learned what it means to be a grandmother as I traveled all over the world working with women in the role of grandmother. Because all of us are the grandmother. We all have the seeds to that. And I began to recognize when I'd see a little girl, how many of us know a little child, 5, 6, 7 years old, with a little baby brother. The baby brother starts to cry. The little girl picks the baby brother up and knows exactly where to put him on her body to make him stop crying. That's the grandmother. That's the grandmother in that little girl. And that little baby brother recognizes the grandmother. And so I say to people, you know, as we would travel to, some of us went to Hungary, Denmark, Sweden, Poland. We went all over the place. And as we did, people would love to hear the Indigenous grandmothers speak. And it was such an honor to me to be included in all of this. When I really, you know, my understanding and evidential proof of who I actually am was sketchy, you know, it was such a wonderful thing, except for one thing. And that was the fact that I always wondered why people are calling Indigenous grandmothers when they have their own grandmother. And that's where it became increasingly important to me to remind us all that we are Indigenous, all of us. As far as I know, and I'm sometimes wondering, more recently, more often than not, as far as I know, we're all Indigenous to Mother Earth. I do think there's some of us from other places that are wandering around here. But for the most part, we're all Indigenous to Mother Earth. That's huge. That's huge. That's why our circle today is us grandmothers who are speaking, but it's all encompassing because all of you who are here with us are part of us because we're all Indigenous. We all are. So over the last 3 years, and much of this, I'm so grateful to Grandmother Renee because she helped me find myself almost 20 years ago when she adopted me to be her daughter. And I didn't know what that meant at the time. And I don't even know today if she's older than me or younger than me. I'm 71. I can't remember how old Grandmother Renee is. But I decided, as I said, age has nothing to do with being a grandmother. It's more than that. But 3 years ago, I found out who my mother is. And I found out her background. And I found out that my family had emigrated out of the Mohawk Valley and gone up to Six Nations. I found this out. I didn't know any of this. This Christmas, at 71 years old, well, I was 70 then, I found out that my father is Kanaka Maoli, Hawaiian. He's in the Hawaiian Music Hall of Fame. I didn't know any of these things. And so I had to go back to the Polynesian Cultural Center just so I could stand behind a building and dance the hula and yell, yes, I am Hawaiian. I can do the hula. It's the real deal for me now. You know, how many of us are like this? If we look into our DNA, what are those strands that are there? What do they contain? What are the stories that our hair tells, that our blood tells, that our bones tell? They're all in there. They're sacred stories, sacred teachings. Is your grandmother still alive? Ask her. Is your mother still alive? Ask her. If they're not still alive, go and get your DNA. Find out about it and go look back to those ancient places where you came from and find out what are the stories there because they're your stories. They're your teachings. I was sitting one Sunday with my husband. We were in church actually, and this man came up to me with 2 long Q-tips. And he said, may I take your DNA? To my husband and I. My husband's a Narragansett Indian. And we didn't know what to say, so we said yes. And he did our DNA, and I found out I'm haplogroup T, which goes all the way back to Syria and Israel, all the way back to that part of the world. Now I can learn their stories because they're mine. That's my history. That's how it is for all of us. We are all so, as we've been talking about the spider web behind Paola, we're all part of that, but we're the little dewdrops that are on that spider web that zip up and down the web together. And we meet for a moment and we exchange. We exchange with our breath. And in Hawaii, we call it ha. We exchange our breath. We exchange the light in our eyes. We exchange our voice, our song, our story. We exchange our smell. I mean, I know I don't smell people usually, but you know, my dogs do. And they're always so excited when they remember somebody by their smell, even if they don't remember their face. We do that too. We're not even aware that we're doing it, but we are. We are. And so there's all these connections that we have. And that isn't to be even beginning the life before this life. or the life before that life, or the life before that life, or the planet or the stars before that. We don't have all that information, because really what matters, I guess, right now is that we're here on this one. And we're here with the stories and the songs, and we're here with the love in our hearts. We're here with this beautiful weaving that we do together that creates the reality of who we are. So as I have been listening to the grandmothers speak today, I am always so enthralled by the fact that I can sit with them. I can sit beside them. I can love them. I know their names and they know my name. And it's always just such a beautiful thing for me to be able to do that. And as we go through our lives, and as we go through this time now, I was on a call the other day, it was actually Sunday, and it was with the mamas who I love, and Paola and I have that connection together from having been together in the Sierra, 15,000 feet with these beautiful mamas. But there was a question that was put to the group. Is this COVID virus, is it alive? Is it alive? Does it have an intelligence? And if so, what is its message that it's bringing to us? And so we all got to answer from our own perspectives. And the mamas, to me, they were so beautiful in what they had to say. And they talked about the elementals. And they talked about what we're doing here and what it is that we're all about here in this life now. What is our fear doing? Our fear is not there to destroy us. Our fear is with us now as a messenger. It's speaking to us. It's giving us this opportunity to do our life review while we're still alive. You know, I know my husband, Tony, was on hospice before he died. And for several days, he was unconscious. And the hospice nurse, a man named Ron, would come and sit there and just sit by the bed and look at him. And I said one day, why are you doing this? What are you looking at? And he said, you can see by his eyes moving. He's going through his life review. He's thinking about all the things that he did in his life and all the things that he learned and all the places he's been. Well, we don't have to do that when we're dying. We can do it right now because COVID is bringing us that chance. Think about it. What matters to us? What really matters? Do we have to follow the guidelines? Do we have to follow the rules? Of course we don't. We never have to. But what are the consequences? We're seeing that there are consequences to not following them. We're seeing this. And what is love? Love is being aware that we need to follow them for the sake of others as much as for ourselves. So what is it that is happening all around us? What are the messages that are coming to us? And as a grandmother, I belong to something called the White Buffalo Cow Society. It's a Mandan Hidatsa Grandmothers Society that's very old and hereditary. And I was given the blessing of being invited in. And it's based on the original story that back in the day, at the time of just before winter, the herd of buffalo would be up on the bluff. And the grandmothers in this Grandmothers White Buffalo Cow Society would go down to the river and they would sing a song. And that song would call the buffalo to them. And as the buffalo came thundering down from the bluff and running along the river straight at the grandmothers, the hope was that the young warriors would shoot the buffalo before they ran all over and trampled the grandmothers. That was what you're hoping. And in doing so, the food would be there to keep the tribe alive. But what if they missed? And what if the buffalo did trample the grandmothers? The grandmothers were willing to do that. That's what the grandmother is all about. We've had our girl time. When we were young and skinny and pretty and all of that fun stuff, we had our mother time when we were young mothers and learning how to work with our husbands and sometimes ending up single and learning how to raise our children on our own. We had our time in the prime of our life when we were there as powerful women in our position of in the jobs we held and you know, and now Who are we? Who is the grandmother? Who are we? And I will say in my own life, I am the woman who is prepared to do whatever I need to do for the grandchildren, the mokopuna, as Rana says, the grandchildren. I will do whatever it takes. Who are my grandchildren? Are they the 6? 5 of whom are living in 6 in Idaho. Sorry, son. He always gets me because I keep thinking 6. I forget it's 7. 6 in Idaho, 1 in Buffalo, New York. Sorry. I love you. I love you. But I would give anything for them. But you know who else I would give it for? I'd give it for every child. Like Margaret says, I would give it for every child. I would give my life willingly for that little child that's looking for her mother, or looking for a place to belong, or where will I sleep tonight, or what will I do? Come with me. I will take you into my heart. Because we're grandmothers to all life. We're grandmothers to the water, as Mona said. We're grandmothers to the trees. We're grandmothers to the mountains. We're grandmothers to the crystals. This is the grandmother crystal. She took me everywhere, all over the world. We are grandmothers to all living. And in reality, at the end of the door, at the doorway out, we're the grandmothers that wash the body of those we love and brush their hair and wrap them in the clothes that they will take with them into the eternities. We're that grandmother too. And then we're the grandmother to catch the baby to put into the basin of water when it's born. We're all of that. And our men are as well. Because men, we can't do it without you. We need you. We are there together. 2 branches on 1 tree. And we are here to protect our men. We're protecting them. We're holding them up. We're lifting them with our love. We're praying for them. We're singing to them. We're reminding them of how important they are. And they do the same for us. And as we do that, we all grow. And so with that, I'm at the end of my words, the end of my time. Aloha kakeako, aloha keakua. Mahalo nui loa. Thank you so much for allowing me to sit with the grandmothers. And for each of you who's on this call with us, I pray that in some way, something that I said touched you. And I truly can say, without a shadow of a doubt, that I love you with all my heart. Aho. Mitakuyesu. Aho.
Duni, Grandmother Susan, as our beloved mamas would say, Duni. We were very touched by your messages and your teaching how we can find our ancestors and who we truly are, because there were some questions about that. And in fact, I have to say, we have already over time, already been over 2 hours, and many questions which we don't have the time, unfortunately, here to answer, because the flow and the weaving of our grandmother was so beautiful that was not possible to interrupt. It was, you could not interrupt the water flowing of the grandmother, the beautiful rivers like the Amazon River. You cannot stop it. It has to go, and just listen to it. So we just ask you, Grandmother, we had one question. We kind of condensed some of the question in one, and is how to connect with the quality of the feminine in myself, in the world and in humanity, in a culture that favors the masculine. So how do we empower ourselves as 2 women, as grandmothers, also facing a very patriarchal society that may be shifting if we empower ourselves? Can any of you, Grandmother, I'm not guided to ask any of you specific because you're all amazing. Does any one of you feel to answer it? Is it guided to answer, please? Who doesn't want to answer?
Who doesn't? Well, I'll add a little
Thank
bit
you.
of it. Yeah. So I believe the connection is through you having a relationship with your womb, because the mitochondrial DNA that connects us all together is from you having come from the womb of your mother, who came from the womb of her mother, and the womb of her mother, and that's the link. That's the inherent link. Now we live in a world where we don't really understand the awesomeness, the power, the sacredness, the holiness of our womb space. Okay, so there's a beautiful book that I was guided to, and it's called Womb Wisdom, and everything that's written in it talks about it underpins the power that we as Māori women exert when we do the karanga, and it connects all of that ancient wisdom to our womb space. But you have to have a relationship with her. Now that's new ideologies for many of us. and that's the beginning point, I believe. So go there, ladies. Go to your kurawaka. Feel it, talk to her, commune. She's powerful. Kia ora.
Thank you very, very much, Grandmother Raina. Very powerful, your message. So girls, connect to your wombs and so much more. And it's where you get your power and you discover so much more again. So it's a journey. And this is the first of several webinars we are going to have with our amazing grandmother, because more are coming and more needs to talk to us. We need to learn so much and just to absorb the beautiful energies and hearts. I mean, I'm just soaking it. I mean, it's just incredible. And now we don't have any more time for questions. We're very sorry for that. But if you email us or you get on our website and you contact us, we will try to answer you and asking the grandmother to answer your question. Also, we would like to invite you to support the projects. And again, if you email us, we can put you in touch with them and see how you can support it in different way, not just financially. And I would like to ask Grandmother Renee to do the closing ceremony, please. And so we can say thank you to all of you, and also thank you for coming.
Okay, I'd like everyone to take some deep breaths, 3 of them. Sit back, take some deep breaths. 1. Let it out. Another one. Let it out. Another one. And let it out. So what we did at this time is we brought in our ancestors and we thanked them for giving us this time. And what we did was we released them to go back. We thanked them for their information and that their love for us. So we looked and we see that in our breath, we have that ability to always be in touch with the wisdom of the grandmothers, the wisdom of our grandmother Moon. And she has all that knowledge for us. And that's all you have to do is take some deep breath. Take some deep breath whenever you're faced with a challenge, whenever you're done a a ceremony, whenever you've done something, always take that deep breath, and then it brings in that peace, knowing that you are loved, knowing that you have been connected to the ones that have passed on. Because what is the last thing they leave when they depart from us? It is their breath. It is the breath of all the knowledge and everything that they have. So when we are in that place of ceremonies with our breath, always remember your breath is that ceremony. That is the breath of life. I like it how they say in Hawaii, ha, the breath of life. And we all need that to remind us of, because in our way, in the ways of the people of the Longhouse, the peacemaker left, but he said, I will be a breath away from you. And that's all you have to do, is take that deep breath, and you draw in all the wisdom and the knowledge that you're going to need to get you through. And so we like to say thank you to all of them that have made this day possible. Thank you to all of you that have attended today to hear the words of your grandmothers and your grandfathers. Thank you to the universe that has given us this opportunity to share the wisdom from the four corners of the world. Thank you for bringing us together, showing us the similarities, that we all come from a very sacred place, and that we all are on our journey of being a human. And so we have this opportunity of saying, with much love, we are very grateful to all those helpers that have made this day possible. And so may each and every one of you now, as they say in our way, we have concluded the gifts that was to be given today, and now you safely can return back to what you have been, what you are to do. And so it is called releasing, so that you can share what you have gained today and take it and breathe it and live it, because that is the gift of life. And so we say, oh, to the one that has created all this magnificent power for all of us. And we say, with much love and gratitude, we send it back to the Creator. We send this love on to all the people that may need it, that are suffering, that are going through hard times, that don't understand. And so we send it out to all those in leadership that are thinking only with their minds, that they be connected to their hearts. And so we send it off to all those that are in need of a prayer. So we say, with much love, we have done our duty for today, and now we are released to return back to our normal routine. And so with that, I would like each one of you is to prepare a little plate of your traditional food. It's just to prepare that little part when you eat your meal later. And this is a plate for the ancestors for bringing this day possible for all of us to get together. That they manifest this technology in this way that we can share their knowledge that we have been given. And so prepare that little plate, prepare a drink, prepare this and leave it there overnight. Set it on the table, and then in the morning take it out and give it to the universe, because now it will be given to the animals too, so that they can also be part of the ceremony and for all. And so, I have shared what I was to do today, and I thank you. Thank you, Paul. Love.
Aloha to each and every one of you. Aloha kākou.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's all I can say to all of you beautiful grandmothers for coming here today and for sharing your beautiful hearts. I'm truly blown away. I'm just in love with you girls, and I think I'm going to kidnap all of you to live with me. Yes, that I think I'm going to manifest. It sounds a good idea to me. I feel everyone also has been very touched by your words, your messages, your hearts, and your stories. And I feel we all got very much inspired, and from the chat, I understand that everyone wants to know much more. This is truly the first of many circles the world would create with all of you. And we're very grateful also to the Presencing Institute to make this possible and to bring all of us together. A big thank you to my co-creator sister Mila and Yael for also making this possible with all of us and for looking after all the technical and the chat and everything, because I'm really hopeless, and they're amazing. So big thank you to them. A big thank you for all of you who came, who were guided and inspired to come, for sharing your stories, your heart also with us, and for listening, and for being in the circle together. A big thank you to all of you. And a big thank you to also Zoom, because it allows us to be together, even if we're all over the world. It doesn't matter. I feel you are in the same room as I am. I feel all of you. So gratitude to everyone, truly, for a moment that I personally would never forget. That is now deep in my heart, seeing all of you, your beautiful smiles. Thank you.
I just ask everyone to open their videos and just put your hands to the front and come back to the heart. Thank you.